Welcome back to the Progressive Patriots. It's just me, just Leo. I've been left in the dust, but it's all right. We're going to get right to the news. It is Monday, January 29th. It is 1945. If at any point I say something messed up or like mistakenly or whatever, if I'm not lacking complete information, you can text me 833-LUX-POTS. Let's get into Mrs. Nancy Pelosi. Now, it's no secret of me for it to be known that I advocate strongly for ceasefire in Palestine. I've made that clear pretty much from the beginning. As much as I tried to defer talking about it, it was fucking obvious that's what I was advocating for. Now, I've noticed the efforts of some, not just in the media, but also figures, people in positions of power, positions of influence. They've been trying to use their positions to try to synonymize calling for a ceasefire with being anti-Semitic. Calling for a ceasefire means you're a Nazi. Calling for a ceasefire means you want Israel to be destroyed. It's the dumbest fucking thing ever. Anybody who thinks that way is a fucking moron. And I feel with a strong degree of certainty that they know that's disingenuous. They don't actually believe that, but for them to keep the hold they have on media and public sentiment, that's the type of dichotomy that they have to create. And the shit just took a new turn just when you thought it couldn't get any worse or any dumber than it already is. Mrs. Pelosi said this. Pretty much everything this is all her words here. For them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. She said further, I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia. Some financing should be investigated, and I want to ask the FBI to investigate that. Wow, that's a good one. That is a good one. It's all of these protesters. When Gaza has protesters, they're not sending their best. They're sending murderers and rapists and criminals, and some, I assume, are good people. Right? Is that what I'm looking at here? Some of you might be just doing this, and you're doing it spontaneously. You don't see something, and you're just having a knee-jerk reaction. This isn't something that's coming from the deepest recesses of your being, because that would be a Russian advocacy thing. I don't know how this woman made those connections. I really don't. But I did come up with this as a sort of a tit for tat kind of situation. So I think some of these buys and sells are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to inside information not available to the public. Some trades should be investigated, and I want to ask the SEC to investigate that. Because this woman has made a fortune trading off of insider information. Now, I'm not trying to equate the violence in Gaza to insider trading. That's not. I don't know if that's the kind of connection that you make based on me saying that. It's not. It's just more like this. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. Just one of those look, who the fuck are you to talk about morality? Number one, you're a fucking slime ball. Two, how did you make that connection? I really don't see it, and I really don't want to hear the ludicrous gymnastics that it takes to put those together. I could probably throw something together, but it would be a wild stretch of the imagination, because that's what it takes to link Russia to wanting a ceasefire in Palestine. Is it because like because he would ceasefire in Ukraine? Like, is that what she's thinking? Like, I'm not. Still, I don't know. They're not the same thing. Calling for a ceasefire in Ukraine is absolutely like would be to the benefit of Russia, but to say that that's not the same thing, though. Like, one of them isn't it. Whatever. I'm not gonna give this woman more energy than she deserves. But yeah, I really would like to see the Securities and Exchanges Commission have a look at her portfolio. Right. So I had been holding off talking about the 2024 campaign to see what had come of the Iowa caucus, and then, like, by the time I had time to sit down and put shit together, like, the New Hampshire primary was on the table, and yeah, it was a compounding effect of, well, shit, now I gotta wait for this. Well, shit, now I don't have time, now I gotta wait for this. Whatever. Nikki Haley's the only one left. No kidding. She has vowed, she made it clear that she's not dropping out, even if she loses South Carolina, which by all objective measurements she will. The thing is that something that's been interesting is that she has had her house swatted twice. Now, in the off chance you don't know what that means, it's having somebody fakes an emergency, a crisis, and they give your address and give your name, and then the SWAT team rolls in and, like, fucks your shit up. So that's happened to her twice. I want to say around the New Year period, and I know she had her parents with her, and her father passed away not too long after that. I think they were in their late 80s, so like it's not entirely a surprise, but and he was already in bad shape from what accounts I've read have said. To me, this is it's not, I don't know, like it's calling you're obviously making a false claim to the police, which is a fucking waste of their time. As much as I really don't like them as an institution, still, to use them as the tool for you to terrorize, and that's a very pointedly chosen word, to terrorize this woman and her family. It's really obvious that it's Trump loving people trying to get her to drop out, or, quote unquote, punishing her for daring to stand against the leader, the true leader, or whatever, the dear leader, I guess we could use if we want to start using that. It would not be too far off the mark. But yeah, it's just another continuation of domestic terrorism, using violence as a means as the catalyst for political change or deterring political change. That's terrorism. That's exactly what it is. Nikki Haley is offering change. She's offering political change, and she is being physically assaulted. So she's being physically threatened. That's what terrorism is. That's what it is. Right. So it is, like I said, January 29th. On the 6th will be the Nevada primary. Now, why is this newsworthy? Simply put, Nevada used to have caucuses until 2021, when Nevada passed a law requiring that it be a primary election, not a caucus. So, for that reason, on the 6th is the Nevada primary. Nikki Haley will be on the primary ballot. On February 8th is the Nevada State Republican Caucus, and Nikki Haley is not on the caucus. She's not an option in the Republican caucus in Nevada. So, like I said, in 2021, that the state legislature, I think it was to the benefit of both, like, people who believed the election lie, where the election lie being that Trump won, because he didn't. Please, dearest Trump ball suckers, he lost. He fucking lost, okay? Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Alright? Deal with it. Make peace with it, because that shit happened. Anyway, in part of the quote-unquote irregularities around the whole 2020 election situation, the Nevada State legislature passed this as a means of partly as a means of protecting against any kind of irregularities that happen within caucuses, because they do. Because caucuses are all the dumb shit that Republicans say happened in 2020 is exactly what happens at a caucus. That's exactly what happens. So I'm not sure why we still do those, but whatever. If they want to, go ahead. Not my problem. So Haley's not allowed on the caucus, I don't know, menu, I guess. I don't know. And so she will be on the primary, but if she wins, it doesn't matter. State nominees, like party nominations, can only be the process by which the nominee is determined is decided by the party. So the state Republican Party wants to continue doing a caucus, so that's what's going to happen. And they don't want Nikki Haley on it, so she doesn't get to be on it. If she has a problem with it, she takes it up with them, with the Nevada Republican leadership. And naturally, the state is very cozy with Team Trump, obviously, because they're keeping Haley off of it. Off of the caucus, I mean. So, there you go. I'm not sure what they stand to gain from continuing with the primary thing, but from what I've gathered, Haley will not be traveling to Nevada. She's heading to her home state of South Carolina, where it sounds like the government apparatus, the very conservative, very Republican government apparatus, is behind Trump. The senators, the state legislators, I think the current governor. So yeah. Before I get to all the Biden and Trump news that I have, I want to talk about the execution in Alabama that happened on the 25th. As you might recall, I've been mentioning this for some time, that this is something that was going to be coming to light, and yeah, it did. The Supreme Court pretty much said, "Fuck, we're not listening to this." So whatever the lower court decided is what's happening. And unfortunately for Mr. Kenneth Smith, he's dead. He was executed by asphyxiation via pure nitrogen pumped into a mask. Some of his last words, I think his last words were, "Tonight, Alabama caused humanity to take a step backward." The execution began at 1953 local time, and he was declared dead 2025 local time. Oh, man. So, the woman that was murdered, Elizabeth Sennett, that is, Kenneth Smith and some other goons, they were hired to murder her. So that's what the whole situation is. But so she was murdered on March 18th, 1988 at the age of 45. And let's see. So on March, these are the words of the governor, Kay Ivey. On March 18th, 1988, 45-year-old Elizabeth Sennett's life was brutally taken away from her by Kenneth Eugene Smith. After more than 30 years and attempt after attempt to game the system, Mr. Smith has answered for his horrendous crimes. Again, that's Governor Kay Ivey. This is from her son, Mike. "Nothing that happened here today is going to bring Mom back. It's a bittersweet day. We're not going to be jumping around, hooping and hollering, hooraying and all that. That's not for us. We're glad this day is over." Now, last bit here is from... It's a reverend named Jeff Hood. He was Kenneth Smith's spiritual counselor. Right, whatever that means. So here were some of his keywords. That he noticed that the prison staff were visibly surprised at how bad this thing went. What we saw was minutes of someone struggling for their life. We saw minutes of someone heaving back and forth. We saw spit. We saw all sorts of stuff from his mouth develop on the mask. We saw this mask tied to the gurney, and him ripping his head forward over and over and over again. Yeah. So this bullshit of them being Alabama's higher courts and the federal courts that were where the appeal was heard, saying this is a humane means of execution. Let me restate, this is humane and execution. That's a fucking oxymoron. All right. This kind of went. I wasn't certain what would happen because I'm not a doctor. No shit. I don't know. Given that there's little I could do to stop this short of breaking in and busting Kenneth Smith out of the gurney or whatever, I was hoping what would happen is that he just kind of passes out, and then just doesn't wake up. Apparently that's not what happened. He tried to hold his breath. He did for a considerable amount of time, and then the heaving was him trying to breathe, but the air that he had access to was obviously not good enough to sustain his life. And yeah, so it ended up going that scene at the end of the first Avatar movie where the main dude Jake is in the consciousness transporter module bed fucking thing, and at the end, and then the badass military dude with a scratch on his face, he busts the window open, and then the way that Jake sort of convulses trying to breathe. And that's apparently that's how it ended up going down. Tonight, Alabama cost humanity to take a step backward. Nobody's disagreeing. This man is a piece of garbage. I don't think anybody's arguing that. But it's a matter of us not stooping to his level, which we did. Man. Yeah. I know this is the type of crime that people will point to and say, this is why we need it. And then I can... I know it's not the best argument to use a slippery slope one, but I mean, let's just as an analogy, Trump was impeached for very clear crimes the second time, right? He was involved in January 6th. He orchestrated it and refused to help stop it because it was to his benefit. So why would he? Now Biden is being, like, there's an impeachment inquiry on Biden now for nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just a matter of the appropriate political motivation to shift the scope or to expand the scope of what is included in that punishment. That's the problem that I have with this. It's not that Kenneth Smith fucking deserves to live. He fucking doesn't. Okay? I can't say that I know how they feel, because I don't. It's a matter of, like, this is like the scope expanding by a politically motivated apparatus. That's what I mean. Let's game out the worst case scenarios here. Right now, people who donate to Nikki Haley, they have been excommunicated or exiled or excluded from like the Trump the MAGA family or whatever, the MAGA camp. So that's that's what I mean. Like, let's say that fucking clown gets elected again and he just refuses to leave office, and a legislative majority enables him to do so. A conservative majority in the court enables him to do so, and then he just starts whatever he decides is worthy of execution becomes worthy of execution, and that's it. You stole something? Well, you committed the cardinal sin of stealing while being black. You committed the cardinal sin of stealing while being any shade of brown, for not being white, basically. That's the type of shit that guy ultimately would like to see. And it's going to expand beyond criminals and just a matter of being undesirable. That's it. It's going to expand to that point where you have a podcast that's not loyal to the party line. You're not pledging loyalty to Trump on your show. Well, fucking execute him. Drag him out and shoot him on the street and leave him there as a message to everyone else. That is to me worst case scenario of end state, and I really don't think that is too much of a stretch. I really don't. The dude, his whole farce of a presidency was predicated on Obama making jokes about him. Like, Obama roasting him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like, that was his... I think that to me was the starting point was like a black guy was making fun of me on TV, and everyone saw it. He humiliated me. I was humiliated by a black guy. So, there you go. I don't think it's a stretch. Oh boy. Here's a good one. The Department of Justice has decided to sort of give like they're giving like their stamp of approval on a on the New York State Attorney General's investigation and report on former governor ex-governor Andrew Cuomo. He was sexually harassing female employees, and anytime somebody spoke up, he would retaliate, have some goons take care of it or whatever. So the Department of Justice send a settlement to the current governor, Kathy Hochul, to address misconduct and giving her the means to prevent further misconduct, which includes the New York Executive Chamber Governor's Office, expanding the Human Resources Group, creating avenues like anonymous means by which people can report high-level officials of wrongdoing, and of course, fucking training. Yeah, God, Cuomo, you son of a bitch. These people are gonna have to sit through cheesy fucking computer-based trainings. Let's see. His lawyer, Rita Glavin. I double took when I saw that. I thought I was misspelling it. But I called her harassment enabler Rita Glavin. Yeah. This shit that she's saying right here is the same shit that Vince McMahon is saying about the allegations against him. Governor Cuomo did not sexually harass anyone. The New York AG's report is deeply flawed, inaccurate, biased, and misleading. And pretty much exactly what Vince McMahon said. I've been, have you seen that stupid fucking mustache he has? Yeah, I've been calling him Vincenzo McManarelli. All right. I really tried to read through this, and I didn't find anything that was substantial. It was this big write-up, and me a read-up of California oil production in California. California's basically cutting that cord. The writing's been on the wall. Those companies have been pulling out of the oil production market in California in particular. They've been pulling away for almost 30 years, according to the fucking report anyway. So the only bit of relevant, I don't know, I want to say relevant information, but is it really? I don't know. Is that California has the clean energy, green energy related employment is 6 times greater than fossil fuel related employment. So California's made its bed, and I think it's the right one. Not that anybody would have expected me to say otherwise, but yeah, they've made their choices, and we'll see how that turns out. What is California's like the 4th largest economy on Earth or something, so that's pretty wild. I'm pretty sure they'll be fine. Speaking of being fine, Medicare is going to continue negotiating medication prices. They have selected 10 more. The cuts on prices will be the mandatory minimum is 25%. That's fucking cool. But it could be up to 60, which, I mean, fuck them, the pharmaceutical companies. So make it mandatory 90%. The negotiated prices, they're gonna be over the next 2 years, and they go into effect. I think it's Q4 of 2025, fiscal year 2026 is when they take effect. I have the list of medications. There's a lot of names here, and I'm just gonna say what they do. There are 2 for blood clotting, 4 for diabetes, 1 for heart failure, 1 for autoimmune deficiencies, 1 for cancer. There wasn't further information like what in particular or if it's any specific kind of cancer, and then 1 for arthritis. So I think there's another one for what was it? It's like some kind of insulin or something. I don't know. Regardless, there's a lot of diabetes medications that are being included in this anyway. So there you go. Oh. Do I want to hit that border shit? I don't know. Yeah, let's do that. That fucking fiasco. It's kind of odd. It feels like a slap in the face to see Biden going so hard to the right on something. But, I mean, it's political expedience, no shit. Election year, he's just unpopular in general, but just massively unpopular with conservatives, like no fucking kidding. He could say that killing babies is bad, and then Republicans would suddenly come out as pro baby death. It's just what they do. So this bill that's been bipartisan is a fucking stretch, because it's pretty much everything that conservatives want, short of putting like automated machine guns at the fucking border. That's what the words from Mr. Biden himself are. What's been negotiated would, if passed into law, be the toughest and fairest set of reforms to secure the border we've ever had in our country. It would give me, as president, a new emergency authority to shut down the border when it becomes overwhelmed. And if given that authority, I would use it the day I sign the bill into law. So what this bill does, among other things, it includes limits on how many cases of asylum will be approved, and the authority to start automatically deporting illegal crossings if they exceed 4,000 people in one day. I think that's like just a 24-hour period timer, and then if it crosses 5,000 one day, then the deportations are mandatory. Just pick them up and chuck them back, I guess. Ports of entry are still open for asylum seekers, even if the expulsion powers are in effect. So if let's say 5,000 people have illegally crossed in that day, people coming to ports of entry are still going to be allowed to petition for asylum. And but it's only up to 1.4 thousand a day. Now, across the entire southern border, that's a lot. That's not a lot of people for a large stretch of land. The asylum claims, they have to be resolved in 6 months. So that is great. I feel like it is. My not lawyer brain feels that it is, but it's like the immigration claims take years if people get deported before their cases are even heard. So but this is for asylum, so I guess it's a fucking different matter altogether. Biden is looking for funding, which what he's asking for, in his words, this includes an additional 1,300 Border Patrol agents, 375 immigration judges, 1,600 asylum officers, and over 100 cutting-edge inspection machines to help detect and stop fentanyl at our southwest border. And so this is like everything that Republicans could ever want, you'd think, right? I'm sure you've heard by now, though, that Trump is calling this like the worst fucking bill ever, garbage. Like, no Republican should ever agree to that. Like, man, this was fucking written by like the most conservative Senate Republicans, dude. What more do you want? And so his claim is that don't sign this, don't agree to this, elect me and we'll get something better. So, fuck Biden. I'm going to fuck this bill hoping that I win. And if I don't, well then, as long as Biden looks bad, I don't care. All this talk that these fucking clowns say they want this, and like these are the things that they want, and they're not willing to go ahead with it. The Speaker of the House, Mike Fuckface, has already said, like, if it comes to the House, I will not bring it to the floor for a vote. It's completely ridiculous. But I mean, what can you expect from MAGA Mike, right? That's what they called him. That's what his little fuckboy friends called him. Anyway. All right. Biden Trump stuff, making good on time here. So, the Colorado group has already filed for a brief with the Supreme Court. They filed a brief with the Supreme Court. The Maine Secretary of State, Shannon Bellows, has also appealed her situation to the Supreme Court. These are the two cases of keeping Trump off the ballot. I didn't know this, but the six people that brought the Colorado case up are like pretty hardcore conservatives. They just fucking hate Trump, and they're like, well, look, the rules are right here. This guy is not qualified. He is disqualified because of this. He tried to overthrow the government. He's not allowed to be a part of it anymore. I've been saying it. Just yeah, I'm on that team, I guess. Like, those are the fucking rules, bitch. Maybe next time don't try to overthrow the government. I don't know. I'm not an expert here, but the thing says people who try to overthrow the government are not allowed to run for federal office. Maybe don't do that. But hey, what do I know? The words are right there. Washington had another case of somebody trying to disqualify Trump from their ballot, but their judge, Mary Sue Wilson, ruled against it. The oral arguments for the Colorado decision are on the 8th. So it's the same day as the Nevada caucus. He'll probably be in Washington. Oh, man. Something that I wanted to note is there's a couple of things that came out of some interview that with Trump earlier in January. Yeah, he knows who his vice president pick is. He's been teasing that already. As by all accounts, well, just me trying to read the tea leaves, it does look like it's going to be Rick Scott. All right. So, but to me, what was more pressing out of that interview was when Trump basically reaffirmed all the shit he's already said about specifically NATO and Europe in general, and making it clear that he's never going to help Europe ever if they're in trouble, like military in any way. He's never going to help them. And as it pertains to NATO, his words are, depends if they treat us properly. Look, NATO has taken advantage of our country. The European countries took advantage. There is no amount of spending that we can do that would just completely outpace the rest of the world. That's what alliances are for. Have they not kept up their end of the bargain? Not as bad as he's making it out to seem. Like their commitments, they're obligated to increase their own defense spending as a percentage of their GDP every so often. Every increment of years, they're supposed to increase it by, I think, like 0.5% or something. And they're like 2 increments behind. So it's not entirely, that's not very accurate. But I think that a lot of European countries are starting to recognize the risk. Like, what if Trump wins again? It's not going to be good for us. I think they've known that because they've been ramping up their own defense spending and their own interoperability as NATO allies. I think I talked about the I haven't talked about it, but there's some NATO joint war exercises that they're doing, and the U.S. is playing a big part of it, wherein they quickly as they can establish, like a defensive line, and then after X amount of time, the U.S. comes and reinforces the line. It's classic scenario, like, you guys just hold it steady, and we'll be there, and we'll get there as soon as we can, and it's not going to take too long, so be ready, and we need to make sure that we integrate as quickly as possible. But I'll talk about that more on the next World episode. Let's see. I think this was a big part of why General Mattis left the Trump administration. Was the way that he was acting about NATO and other strong allies, mutual defense allies. So, like, Australia is not NATO, no shit. South Korea is not. Japan is not. Philippines is not. But these are, and even Vietnam is not. But they're still major allies of ours. So it's it's the same thing that he does with everybody. It's just to a higher scale, where if you are not licking my boots, then I have no need for you. That's all I want, is you need to fucking gas me up or whatever. I'll let you fall. Speaking of falling, Trump himself ordered to pay $83.3 million to E. Jean Carroll. I, for the longest time, did not know that it was a letter gene, E gene. I thought that was the name, but all right. So the numbers are 18.3 in duress compensation, 11 million in reputational damages, 65 million in punitive damages. Former president and rapist Donald Trump said, "Our legal system is out of control and being used as a political weapon. This is not America." That was on Truth Social, where he truthed that. So Eugene said afterwards, just immediately, and she looked pretty elated, rightfully so. But this is a great victory for every woman who stands up when she's been knocked down, and a huge defeat for every bully who has tried to keep a woman down. Fucking get after it, girl. The previous jury had already awarded $5 million for in damages, but then Trump continued to lie about it, and yeah, now he's on the hook for 83.3, and he's shut his fucking mouth ever since. It's just one of those Schadenfreude fucking chef kisses. Chefenfreude? Is that a good one? I think that's a good one. Let's see. Former president and rapist Donald Trump is appealing this decision, naturally. So this is from Trump attorney and rapist enabler Alina Habba. President Trump is leading in the polls, and now we see what you get in New York. It will not deter us. We will keep fighting, and I assure you, we didn't win today, but we will win. I don't know, man. Maybe you should, by Miss Carroll's accounts, she made it pretty clear she wasn't fucking interested. So, nah, I'm not sure, but I get every person's entitled to a defense, right? Yes, okay, I get it. That's not why I call her rapist supporter. It's because she's obviously very clearly, if this was just a case of defense, like she would say something like, "This is not a great decision, and we're gonna appeal it." But instead, she's parroting him that it's a political attack and other such stuff. But it's okay. Former president and rapist Donald Trump. Yeah, this is that's the kind of number that it takes to shut him up. So I think if ever these kinds of cases come to light again, hopefully they're at this same level, if not greater. The civil fraud case that's just fantastic. 250 mil. That's what you get, dude. New York, largest city ever. What are you really think that you're just gonna get to milk it and walk away? Especially when you go into the most high profile position in the nation. Of course your past dealings are gonna come to light. The fuck do you think? Party house. This is a fun one. So the medical unit inside the White House had an investigation that went from 2008 to 2020, where it was just like I'm not sure what predicated the investigation, but the most adverse findings were from 2017 to 2019, where you know who was there at that time, and So, the White House medical unit provided prescription medications, which included, in a lot of cases, scheduled narcotics, and they were given to people who were not eligible for those drugs, right? They also purchased brand name medications, which ended up costing dozens of times more. They were talking about this one, it's like a stimulant, Provigil or something, and they got the brand Provigil, which cost 55 times more than the generic pill. And the generic pill is almost $2,000. There are other cases like that of some medications of a generic costing something like almost $1,000, and the name brand was something like 40 times more. I didn't write all the examples down, but those two stuck out to me the most. It's like, this is like your fucking party pill stash is on the government dime. It must be nice. So like 2008, like this shit included the Obama years. So I don't want to hear this fucking witch hunt shit, because the prohibitive majority of the adverse findings were from 2017 to 2019. I don't want to fucking hear it. I really don't. Oh, one more thing. This one is on Mr. President Biden. He announced, this was, I think, like 2 weeks ago. Fuck. Where the hell have I been? But he announced that approximately $5 billion of student loans will be forgiven for about 74,000 or more borrowers, many of whom have earned easements for 10 or more years as a teacher, nurse, or firefighter, like a civil servant, somebody who works in the public good. And I really can't think of better, more qualified people than that. How about you pay them extra, reverse it, give them more money. So the total amount of the easements are $136.6 billion for about 3.7 million people. So that's a lot. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that's going to be going right back into the fucking economy, dudes. So wherever those people are, great. It's going to be a great time. That's what a lot of fucking morons can't seem to figure out. And you're putting the money back into people's wallets, and they're going to spend it on stuff they need. Jesus. Fuck. How is this not? How do you not know that? So the total amount of loans is 1.63 trillion for approximately 43.4 million people. That increased. Last year it increased by 17 billion for 600,000 borrowers. So that's pretty rapid growth, man. Like the fucking pricing on public universities needs to get that same kind of cap that insulin got and other prescription drugs are about to get. All right, last thing. This one is in the boring but important section. It's a really quick one. It's just, this one is regarding sanctions on countries and entities that are in Russia and Iran that participate in their, wrongdoings. So naturally they're sanctioned by the Department of the Treasury, right? But Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, fucking WhatsApp, Threads, and Alphabet, which owns Google and the whole Google suite of stuff, they have been continuing to do business with sanctioned entities, whether they be government or private. So there's the Senate Intelligence Committee chair is starting to take up a public call to get the Department of the Treasury to make those tech companies comply with sanctions, with government sanctions, which, yeah, you should. That's like one of the primary means by which they operate. That's what they did in 2016, dude. Fucking disinformation through ads and shit on the internet. So I really don't understand why this is even a conversation. But let's have the Senate Intelligence Committee take that torch and run with it. It seems like tech are the few groups that just don't follow those rules that others have to. It's kind of disturbing. But that's gonna do it for today. Might be able to. Yeah, I think I should be able to get this out tonight. Well, let's see here. Let's get ourselves wrapped up. Okay, so I have other shows that you might want to check out. If you go to, in your browser of choice, lvxmedia.net, and there you'll see all the different options that we have. I have some cool sports calendars, fucking articles that get like press releases and stuff. So if you want to check that out, if you would like to, social media is lvxmedianet. Like same shit as the website, right? So have fun with that. If you would like to hit us up, to be honest with you, there is a Twitter account. I don't fucking use it because it's Twitter, you know? It's gross. I don't want to use it, so I don't. Threads, like, damn it, I want to. It hasn't integrated well, despite being a meta platform. It doesn't integrate the same way with the same way Instagram and Facebook do. Like, you can't manage them all from one place like you can't, like those two. Can't manage threads like that. But it's still there, so if you want to check that out, same name. If you would like to get in touch outside of social media, where I'd be less likely to reply than I would if you contact me directly. If you go to progressivepatriots.us, it's the same way going to lvxmedia.net and then going to Progressive Patriots. But if you go to progressivepatriots.us, it's direct. Email contact form is there if you want to use that. The phone number, 833-LUXPODS. It's anonymous, so if you don't tell me, I don't know who you are. I would prefer you did, but you don't have to. You can text or you can call. The call goes straight to voicemail. And interacting with stuff on social media is very much appreciated and is very helpful. What helps the most is dropping a rating wherever you're listening. Hit me with a $5 if you could, please. It would be very much appreciated. If you're not feeling a 5, like, you have my number. Let me know why not, and let me see. I'm always open for some constructive feedback. So, however I can make this a better experience for everyone, let me know. Last thing, the first call was last Thursday, unfortunately about the same time that Kenneth Smith was being killed. But last Thursday was the first call of the year for the group Common Defense. So nationwide veterans, progressive veterans, organizing kind of thing. It's a political action group. If you want to get involved, meet with like-minded people, I am more than certain that wherever you might be in the U.S., there is at least one other Common Defense person nearby you. I say that with a strong degree of certainty. It's a fucking big group. All right, but if you want to do that, it's lvx.at/cdef. That's straight to the membership sign-up page. When you do, and they're gonna reach back out to you to kind of get an idea of, where your passions are, so they can try to help group you up with the right people to pursue the things that you're most passionate about, right? Environment, immigration, whatever the case is. But So that is lux.at/CDEF, CDEF, Common Defense. That's it. Text me if you got something. If I said something that was off the mark, please let me know. Be more than glad to correct myself. I will see you next time. Take it easy.